Hello everyone, Chip Boaz here, and today we're going to be learning to play the melody to Take the A Train on the bass guitar. Take the A Train is best known as a song by the great jazz musician Duke Ellington. And in one way, this makes a lot of sense because this song was performed and recorded by Duke Ellington and his orchestra time and time again. It was actually written by Duke's right-hand man, who unfortunately during his lifetime didn't get a whole lot of credit, but these days is really cherished by the jazz community. And that's the great Billy Strayhorn. This is a great one to learn on the bass guitar. First of all, because it's so well known and it's such a catchy, great melody. So it's super fun to play. It's also got some little tricky fingering things to work out that can be a nice challenge to learn. I want to remind you, if you want to download the sheet music for this melody, both in musical notation and tablature, you can do that through the link in the description below and be able to just follow along the video while looking at a printout of your own. The form on Take the A Train is a 32-bar AABA form, with each of those sections being 8 bars. We're going to start off by learning the A section because if you noticed, it repeats 3 times. So if we learn those 8 bars, we've already learned 75% of the song. Let's start with the first 4 bars of the A section. It goes a little something like this. Fingering is pretty important on the A section. So we're going to start in our left hand with our second finger on the 10th fret of the A string. From there, we're going to jump up across the D string and hit the 9th fret on the G string. Then we'll go back to the same note we started with, the 10th fret on the A string. From there, we'll jump up to the 10th fret on the D string. And then we're right back to the 9th fret of the G string, and then jump back to the 11th fret of the A string. The whole first part of those 4 bars is based around a second inversion C triad. That's all C triad. Now this makes a lot of sense because the chord being played beneath the melody is a C chord. He doesn't just play that triad the way that I'm just playing it, but he jumps around, skipping notes. Something to think about as we take into improvisation. We don't always have to just go up and down the chord tones. We can jump around. After that C major triad, it jumps up to a really interesting note. It's that G sharp, the 11th fret of the A string. The chord underneath that is a D dominant 7. But that note right there is a sharp 11. So it implies that D7 sharp 11, which you can do some really interesting things with improvisation around that. I've seen a million different chord charts of this tune, and sometimes they will write that sharp 11, but sometimes it's just written as a D7, and you've got to pick that out because you've heard it in the melody. The second 4 bars of the A section is where things get a little tricky. So watch the fingerings on this one to see what's going on. We're going to start with our first finger in the left hand on the 7th fret of the D string. That's a big long note. From there, we're going to play that note again, and then we're going to shift that first finger up to our 8th fret. I don't necessarily have to do that. I can play that right there, right? But I'm anticipating what's coming next. So I'm going to play there, 7th fret, hit it again, 8th fret, 9th fret on the D string. Then I'm going to jump up to the 9th fret on the G string. Notice when I play that, I'm barring my 3rd finger. I find it makes it easier to go what's coming next. In theory, you could play and jump over there with your second finger. I find the bar easier. I do have to mute, but I'll find with my right hand, when I pull back from that G string, I end up muting the D string anyway, so it works out. From there, we're gonna skip strings and we're gonna jump down to the 10th fret on the A string and play 10, 9, 8. Then we're gonna jump up to the 11th fret of the D string, hit that with our 4th finger. We're gonna move that 4th finger down to the 10th fret, and then we're gonna hit the 7th fret of the A string. Now that shift down from 11 to 10 with your 4th finger is really important. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get that shift right there. So if we put it all together, it sounds like this. This is a good section to be thinking about articulations a little bit too. When I play this, a lot of times I like to slide down with my 4th finger to go from that 11th fret to the 10th fret. So it might sound a little something like this. It's almost like you're thinking about how a horn player might slur the melody. Those sort of decisions can be really impactful on the way the melody's heard by the audience. And also, it might be a good idea to listen to some horn players and think about what they do and try to find ways to translate it to your bass. The B section provides a nice contrast to the A section, and there's some interesting little tidbits in there. The majority of the B section happens within a 4-fret radius, so you don't really need to move your hand almost at all. We're going to start with our first finger on the left hand on the 7th fret of the D string. That's going to take us up to the 10th fret of the D string with our 4th finger. From there, we're going to jump up to the 9th fret of the G string and then back down to the 8th fret of the A string. From there, you're going to play something that's very similar. We're going to start with our first finger on the 7th fret of the D string one more time. We're going to do the exact same thing and jump up to the 10th fret of the D string. Then we're going to do the exact same thing and jump up to the 9th fret of the G string. Then we're going to jump back down to the 7th fret of the D string. So you put it all together. Now there's something to pay attention to here. The harmony of the B section jumps up to the 4 chord, which is really common in jazz standards. That's something to keep in the back of your head. You'll see it most of the time on lead sheets written as an F chord, but let's look at the chord tones that we're playing. Playing the 3rd of the F chord, the 5th of the F chord, but then we jump up to the major 7 before we jump back down to the root. This implies that that's a full F major 7 chord. Another great implication that you can take out of the melody and apply to your playing. Something good to keep in mind when you're playing this one. Now, the second 4 bars of the B section look very similar with some important differences. We're going to start once again with our first finger on the 7th fret of the D string. We're going to jump up again to the 10th fret of the D string. And yes, you guessed it, we're going to jump up to the 9th fret of the G string. But this time, we're going to go over to the 9th fret of the A string. And then the second part of this, we're going to play exactly like we did in the first 4 bars, with one important difference. We're going to move down to the 6th fret of the D string. When we played In the first 4 bars, I showed you how that outlined an F major 7 chord. The 5th bar of the harmony on the B section goes to a D7 chord. So we're playing the 5th of that D7 chord, the 7th of that D7th chord, the 9th of the chord, and then we're jumping down to the 3rd. So we're still outlining the chord, we're just leaving the root out. This last bit here, where we move from the 7th fret down to the 6th fret, sounds a little odd at first glance, but let's think about where it's going when we land back at the A section. It's a chromatic movement down into that G to take us back into the A section. It's always about thinking ahead, whether you're playing a bass line, you're improvising a solo, or you're composing like Billy Strayhorn did. You think about how you can lead your line into the next section, and that's exactly what this does. Thanks for hanging out with me today, everyone. I hope that the video helped you pick out that melody to take the A train, and I hope you have a lot of fun playing the melody and it pushes you just a little bit in your musicianship. I love playing the melody on this one. I do that on gigs. I also just like jamming out on it at home. We do spend most of our time living deep in the groove, but learning melodies will just help you understand the song so much more. It's gonna make your groove even deeper. And if you take a solo or get a chance to play that melody, it can be pretty cool. I want to remind you one more time, if you want to download the sheet music to this melody, both in musical notation and tab, you can do that through the link in the description below. And if you've got a jazz standard that you'd like to learn the melody on, remember this is a series, so let me know down in the comments what melody you want to learn, and that just might be the next video. If you've enjoyed what you've seen and heard today, please hit that like button, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so you can see all the videos coming your way, because there's gonna be more. Keep it on the lowdown, everyone. I'll be seeing you soon.